this is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, no sugar added. Thank you so much for watching. This show is created to discuss real things and real life topics. So I welcome you and I thank you for watching with us today. Today we have a lot of fun because I like talking about real things that I think a lot of us are going through. So we are going to be talking to a financial advisor, and her name is Lori Toronto, and she's been a financial advisor with Edward Jones for about 22 years. So tonight we're going to get some little financial first aid. And as we look at some of the mistakes that we've been doing, setting some goals, being specific, looking at the reality of our finances. So I want to thank Lori for being with us tonight and just talking real talk, right? So thank you, Lori.
Hi, Nina. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I know that you were here last time. We had discussed symptoms, of financial first aid or what we should be looking at. Are we in too much debt, not saving, all that kind of stuff. You talked a little bit about like budget sheets and budgeting and all that kind of stuff, and a prescription on how to get better, all that. So I haven't really learned much to be more disciplined, so we needed you back.
Well,
and now it's 2020, right? So what I want to do is kind of give people tools and myself tools too, because I'm getting to the point where I think it's time to kind of like look things in the eye.
Good.
And just being a little bit more like, I'm actually trying to be more vulnerable and more exposing of my flaws, if you will. Not just with my family and my husband, but even just out there, because
Sure.
I think that the more exposure we have to our nonsense, the more we can start making sense of things.
So
Does
true.
that make sense?
Totally.
Okay, good.
So, at the beginning of the year, it's normal for us to want to have, to turn a new page.
Yeah.
We want to start the year off right.
Right.
And we want to, do some things differently. Everybody does. So tonight I thought it'd be good for us to talk about getting financially fit in 2020.
Yeah, please.
And some of the things we talked about last time, like how to really put it together and
Yeah.
maybe implement some of these things a little more intentionally and specifically. I know all of us have financial goals.
Right.
Like there are things that we would really like to be able to do with our lives, but a lot of times we just kind of say, that's impossible. I can't afford this, or nothing's ever going to change. But that's not true. We have total control. We may kind of say, well, we're limited from an income perspective, or we've got these other things going on. But first and foremost, if we sit down and we really look at what are the things that we like to have in our lives? What are the goals that we have? Do I want to be able to save for my child's college? Do I want to begin to put something away for my own retirement?
Right.
Do I want a vacation?
Right.
Do I want to remodel the kitchen? Like, what is it that you want? So I would begin to just let those ideas come to the surface and don't discount them. Don't say, I can't do that. It's never going to happen for me. But I would say write them down.
Right.
Literally write them down.
Okay.
Not type them out on your computer, but write them down. There's something very powerful about the act of you just writing down your goals and having that right in front of you and looking at it. And I'd be specific. How do you visualize your future? What is it that you want? Like, what would that kitchen look like?
Okay.
Go on Pinterest and look at, that's what I want. And begin to just really let those goals become real to you. Because as soon as you start to visualize them, now you're getting excited about them.
This is true.
Yeah, so you have to visualize your goal. You've got to write it down. You've got to be specific. What are the goals for you personally? What are the things you'd like? Maybe you have family goals too. Maybe there's things for the members of your family that you want to be able to provide for. So step one is just really look at what are your goals and get very clear about what they are.
And not be afraid of them, right?
We're not figuring out how to get them yet. It's just what are they?
That's good. That's
like
good.
there's no pressure.
I would do what you said before, like don't discount them. Sometimes I do that. I realize that maybe it's too lofty of a goal or too big, or it seems overwhelming.
Right.
And then I just like, even
Forget
though it's something
never
I want.
happen.
Yeah, so that's a good tip.
Never going to happen. Okay, so we're going to start off with a goal. So we're going to write them down.
Okay.
Okay, now comes a little bit of the work that we got to start focusing on. So now we're going to look at, where are we now?
Right.
Okay.
Which is also very scary.
Well, Remember, you got your kitchen on Pinterest,
Yeah.
so you got something to look forward to there. Okay, so everybody kind of like this is where you want to like go the ostrich route, and you just want to kind of put your head down there and just forget it, right? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to begin to look at our assets and our liabilities, and so what do we have, what do we own, and what do we owe?
Okay.
So we're going to take a piece of paper and we're going to go, I own this. Let's start with the positives. Maybe you own a house. You own a car. Whatever it is that you own that you think has some value. So you're going to look at, what do I have?
Right.
Okay. Then on the other side of the paper, you're going to look at, what do I owe?
Which is like debt, right? Credit card,
exactly.
mortgage.
So you're going to look at your debt, because what we're trying to do is get to, what's your balance sheet? What's your balance sheet? So what do I have and what do I owe?
And so right now you're not making a judgment call on what you have and what you owe, right? So if you don't really have anything, like if you don't own a house, don't own a car, don't own stuff like that you can think of that has value, but you have a lot of debt. The whole point of this exercise is what I'm getting is that it's just looking at the reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Where am I?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No judgment at all. You're not judging anything. You're just laying it out there so you know. Because a lot of times we don't know.
No, you're right.
And I've asked people, well, what's your interest rate on that charge card? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your balance on the charge card? Well, I think it's about $5,000. You think?
Right.
Yeah, so what is it? Let's face some reality here and take a look at it and just lay everything out. And I have forms if anybody, would like a copy of some forms, worksheets and things like that.
Yeah. They can contact me and I can get it through you and get it to them, no problem.
Totally. And so where, like right now, where's my money going? The part B of this is, that's all right.
I was just thinking about that.
You were.
I was just thinking about that with my husband, and I said, if we didn't go to dinner the last two nights or 3 nights, we would have had the money we needed to do this thing or pay this thing.
Right, and it was,
and I was like,
maybe you were busy and you couldn't
reality.
eat dinner, and it was just easier to go out, and you
Yeah.
maybe had some very good reasons, other than it's nice to go out for dinner, but
Right.
you really, there might have been some legitimate, okay,
Right.
this is what we needed to do. But where is your money going?
Yeah.
All right, how do you figure out where your money's going? What you're going to do is you're going to look at what you spent. Now, if you're using a debit card and you're taking out cash, you better start tracking, where's my money going?
Right.
Okay, but if you're using a charge card and you're paying it off at the end of the month, then you got a nice record of, okay, I went out to dinner 2 times.
Right.
I went to Starbucks 5 times this week. You can see where your money went.
Right.
But it's really not just it's not to make you feel badly that you're doing this. It's to really get like, where's it going?
Yeah.
Because wait, don't forget, I got a goal now.
Right,
I've got
right,
goals.
right.
Wait, that kitchen looks really pretty great. What am I spending my money on? And it's so easy to just kind of look and go, well, this doesn't matter because it's just dinner tonight.
Right.
Or it's lunch out, I'm only spending $10 a day, for lunch every day. I
Right.
mean, it doesn't seem like that much. Mm-hmm. But is it? Okay, so if we just say, like, let's say I'm 30 years old, which I wish I were.
Me too.
So if I'm 30 years old and I'm spending just $25 a week on something that I really didn't need to spend the money on, and instead I invested that, by the time I'm 65, I might have $230,000.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
If I did nothing with it, if I just put it under the mattress, I'd have
30-year-olds, listen up, people.
$42,000, right? And
Yeah.
invested, that could really do something for you. So
Yeah.
now when you look at what you're spending your money on, and if you've got a goal that you're excited about, you can just begin to just kind of say, is that worth it?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make lunch.
Maybe that's the question we should be asking ourselves more often than we do, right?
Right, but you don't think that expense is going to matter.
Yeah.
You don't think that one thing is going to
you
do
were
anything
talking
for
about
you.
$25 a week, and I easily in my brain was like, oh, easy.
Oh,
Easy.
yeah, absolutely.
A cup of coffee a day.
Sure.
Or a cup of coffee and a donut, or a cup of coffee and, easy.
Easy to do.
Yeah, easy.
Right, exactly.
Especially if you are an add to cart person like me, right? So if you're
Oh, yeah,
shopping
yeah, yeah.
online
Right.
and you're adding to cart, it is super easy to spend money. You just don't even realize it doesn't hurt you at the moment.
And in the moment, you're thinking, well, I just spent $50. but you forgot about all the other $50 that you dropped along the way. Along the, at the end of the month, you kind of go, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
And so this is why, yes, you're going to get a budget established, and here's like a look at like nobody's going to be able to see this, but a monthly budget worksheet. How much am I spending on my mortgage? What am I spending for food? What am I spending for car insurance? When's the last time I looked at my car insurance to see if I could get a better deal?
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Where is my money going? What's my phone plan like?
Yeah.
Wait, I can get a better deal.
Yeah.
But we just kind of go along, and it just is so automatic and so easy, and we're just flowing with it instead of managing our money. Everything's managing us.
Yeah.
Time to turn it around.
That's true. I was talking to my husband about that as well, because I said, wow, our phone bill is really high for just me and you. And I'm like, we really need to look at that, because there has to be some way to cut this down. Right? I mean, and you don't think about it. You really don't. It's like you said, it's almost like mindless eating, right? It's mindless spending. You don't think about it. You don't want to think about it, right?
Well, that's a good point, because your emotions and spending, that's definitely something you want to look at, because if I feel a little down today, but it cheers me up when I go to the mall, maybe I'm spending there's an emotional connection between my spending, and I got to really stop and recognize what I'm doing.
Right,
I didn't need that, and especially if I'm going to buy something big, take 24 hours and think about it before you drop the money on it, because is it worth it?
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Most of the time when you give yourself that 24 hours, it's not.
Totally true. So if you go back to your goal and you say, it's going to cost, I need X for this goal. And then you kind of go, wait, how much am I wasting every month? Now you've got some strategy for the goal, because you can kind of say, I didn't think I had any extra money in my budget, but wait, look what I just found $1,000 this month on just stuff I was blowing.
Wow, it's true.
And then, and I want $10,000 to do my bathroom. How quickly can I make that happen?
If you did it.
Right, didn't have to finance it, it's all there. But so this is why there's such a connection between identifying where you're at, what you want, and where you are right now. Because once you've figured out that gap and you start looking at what you're spending, you can close it up rather rapidly.
Right.
You'd be surprised. Wow. I would look at the debt that you have and look at, well, how can I get rid of it? How can I be debt free?
Right.
Pay off charge cards that you can.
Yeah.
If there's a debt that's been bothering you, like the doctor's office is chasing you for something, get rid of it.
Yeah.
You're going to feel so good.
Yeah.
You're going to start to feel like you're really making a difference.
You're doing something. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think also a step that's going to be a part of all of this is having the strength and the bravery to do it, because it is a scary thing. Especially I was never really taught about finances or money. So money has always been this little bit of a scary thing for me.
Right.
And even though I have a great career, I make pretty good money, I still always feel like I'm behind the 8 ball, and I have to do what you're saying, is really sit down and like print everything up and look and see where all the little foxes are stealing, the little money that I don't realize, because my career is going so well and I'm doing so well, I should be okay and not always behind, That's an eye opener, but it also takes a lot of bravery, not just for you, but for your spouse too, or your children, if you are comfortable with sharing with your children, which I think we should be, to be honest. I wasn't for many years. I was always raised like, you mind your business. The adult stuff is the adult stuff. But I think your kids can learn a lot from you exposing some of that stuff.
Well, maybe you're not comfortable telling them how much you make. Because in their mind, what you're making may sound like, well, you can certainly afford to buy my Xbox.
Of course, yeah, exactly.
Because they don't have a context.
Yeah, they don't have a context,
But if you begin to, I'm a fan of letting them do chores and get some pay for that, and then, okay, well, how are you going to use your money? And helping them decide, okay, we're going to maybe give a little bit away, we're going to put some in the piggy bank and save it, like that kind of thing. So they begin to manage their own money, and they have, they make some decisions for themselves.
Right. And having them sit at the table with you making big decisions is a good idea. I think it'll help them a lot, especially in the
understanding
future.
There's only so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I would look too at the things that are hitting your charge card every month.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe you subscribe to Netflix, but you haven't watched it in 6 months. Like, why am I paying for that?
So true.
You know, I mean,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
these little things on there.
Yeah.
I recently, it was like I was looking at my own bill and I go, wait, Amazon Kindle, they're charging me how much? Like, because it was like the reading plan thing.
Oh, the unlimited.
Yeah, and I'm like, whoa, wait, you know,
Yeah.
like I'm paying for that, you know, and they got me.
you didn't even know.
Didn't even know,
Right,
you know, so it's
right.
like, oh, that's gone, you know.
Yeah.
So just monitor all that stuff that looks
Yeah.
so small, because then you sit there and you think it's like, did I really give these people $120? You know, it's like, no.
That you never even utilized, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Because they sign you up for the free trial.
Yeah.
And hoping that you're going to forget.
Which you do.
Which you do. So you got to go back and look at all that
Yeah.
stuff. But again, when you've got that goal, now you're excited about it. I want that more than I want that cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I want that more than the sandwich.
Right.
And then once you can see that you can make progress and get there,
Yeah.
like in 10 months, I'm going to have my bathroom. You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's worth
Good.
it.
Yeah, that sounds good. It's almost like, I mean, it's funny that I keep relating it to this, but it reminds me of, you know, battling with weight and dieting. It's the same thing. Like at first, you're like, is that donut worth it? Because I just lost 2 pounds. You know, is that really worth? You know,
Just like
so
that.
it's,
Yeah.
it's almost, and then you have to really catch yourself, because a lot of people self-sabotage, right? Like,
Ooh,
you know,
yes.
like you know that you're doing better, but for whatever reason, you just are messing up again, or you're not, you know, following the plan. There's
Right.
a plan here.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds by August because I have a wedding. And then right after the wedding, you're gaining the 20 pounds back.
Correct.
Right? So it's the same thing. Like, I think we have to get muscle memory and
So true.
build it and build it and build it. Like you're saying, you know, if you have that 10-month goal to get that bathroom or whatever it is, you're hoping that in 10 months you've already developed enough great patterns and habits.
Right.
You know, and I think it's safe to say that you're going to mess up, you know, and that you're not going to do that great in the beginning, because when you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the knowledge. You have to gain it.
But it's not that hard. 'Cause
No,
it's
yeah.
like it's really looking at what you've got, really taking that that time to visualize it, but looking at all the aspects of your financial health. So we're talking about goals that you're excited about and interested in. You might not be that excited about saving for retirement,
Right.
until you see a relative who really struggled.
Yeah.
You know, and had nothing. And then you kind of go, wait, I don't want that. So
Right.
how can I not have that? So however you get motivated,
Right.
you need to really think about the fact that any little step that you're taking in that direction is going to move you toward your goal. So, you know, these little calculators, I'm happy to supply them to for anybody that you would want that's interested in them. But if you got to the point where you said, I'm 30 years old, I can put $250 a month away for myself until I'm 65. If you did nothing with that, it would amount to $105,000. But invested at a conservative rate of return, you could be closing in on $600,000
Wow. Wow.
for $60 a week. Okay, now
Okay.
that's going to help you with
That's
your
a
retirement.
huge difference.
But you have to really look at, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be struggling. I
Yeah.
don't want to be,
Yeah.
and then you can be, the second most important thing in my mind is to just realize that that little bit matters.
Yeah.
That little bit that you're tempted to say, it's just a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
who cares? It does
That's
matter. I'm not
good.
saying deny yourself
Right.
and never do anything, but set a goal, you know, like, okay,
Right.
I'm going to spend $200 a month on stuff.
Right.
Once I've hit that, it's not worth it, you know?
So do you recommend a person who isn't savvy to maybe go see a professional about this kind of stuff? Like, I don't know how
You
to.
could, but there's
Literally, I don't know how to
resources,
invest.
like,
right?
you know, like Dave Ramsey. You know, there's plenty of
Yeah.
courses like that. Sometimes churches offer his class. I think that's a great way to get going.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of in a group with other people. But I would watch out for the things that really are going to charge you a whole lot of money
Right,
to help you
right.
get going. You know what I mean? Because there's
because they're putting you right back, you know, kind of like what you're trying to overcome, right? Yeah,
and
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen that. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah.
somebody contacted me, and I looked at this contract that they had, and it was like, you know, 30 pages, and I'm like, how much are they gonna? You know, it's like, no, and that was like really buried in there. I was like, no, you can do this. You can do
Right.
this on your own.
Right.
I would suggest buddying up. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you're married and your spouse is on the same page, great. If you're married and your spouse is not on the same page, it's a hard thing. I'm not going to kid you.
Right.
But if you can collectively get excited about a particular goal, you know, even if it's just like, man, we just don't want to be struggling every month.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to be in debt. That's enough to kind of say, okay, how can we change things?
Yeah.
Because sometimes one spouse is in the moment and let's go out to dinner every night.
Yeah.
And the other one's like, wait, we're not going to have anything for retirement.
Yeah.
And that one's like, well, that's so far down the road. Who cares about that?
Yeah.
I just want to eat now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
if you can kind of talk to each other about, look, we've got to negotiate something that works for both of us here.
Right.
Because having, more month than money is not a good plan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was even speaking to someone recently who said, no, I don't save my money. I might be dead tomorrow. So nobody can guarantee me I'll be living till 65. I'm like, yeah, but nobody can guarantee you that you won't.
That's right.
So
That's
when
right.
you get there, what are you going to do? I'm just speaking because I don't have any retirement either, but now I'm thinking about it because, come on, I'm almost, in my 50s, right? So I don't have much time, right? Retirement should have been something that started in my 20s and 30s. But, when you're not taught that, you know no better.
Right.
But then you start to go, okay, wait a minute. Retirement actually looks like it can be happening soon, And I don't think $2,000 is going to do it,
Yeah, so it's time to just really start doing something.
It is.
And you're just going to feel good when you see something growing.
Yeah.
You're not, I should be putting this away, but I can afford to do this. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
You got to do it.
All right. So, and for those people that have a 401k at work, it shocks me that people don't, they're not getting advice with these plans a lot of times. They're not getting anybody to help them identify how much they need to put away. Mm-hmm. And so they'll just go, well, my company's only matching me 3%, so I'm just going to put the 3% in.
Right.
No, you need to put way more than that in there if you're going to retire.
Right.
So, but start with at least that, because if your boss, if your company is going to give you money, you put in 3%, they'll match you 3%. That's free money. You've got to do that. Yeah. But you'd be shocked at how many people don't.
Yeah.
I don't have enough money. I can't afford to do this.
Yeah.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
So, there's the personal goals that you want, but then there's those bigger goals of things like how are you actually going to pay for your retirement?
Right.
So you got to start. You got to do it.
Right.
One other thing too, I would suggest that you set up auto pay for bills.
Yeah, I have auto pay. Yep.
Good.
Yep.
So
because I want to be on time with my stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you have a mortgage, throw some extra on the mortgage.
Yeah.
Even if it's $100 a month, put something extra.
That's
again,
smart. Yeah. I don't have a mortgage right now, but I've heard that before.
Yes.
Putting extra. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So we talked about your goals being specific. Where are you now? Looking at it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you cutting the fat. So healthy habits. Looking at your emotions about spending, why you're spending what you're spending. Being brave enough to face the truth of what that looks like, and no judgment. It's just what it is. Look at it. Right?
Correct.
And I think after all of that, what's the last thing you got to do? I guess is monitor it, right?
Exactly.
And just make sure that you're doing well.
Exactly. You want to make sure you're staying on track. You want to celebrate the little victories along the way.
Yeah.
Do something nice for yourself that doesn't cost a lot of money.
Right.
but
right.
but realize, especially if you came out of a situation where you saw financial dysfunction at home, it wasn't modeled for you.
Right.
I get it. It's a challenge, but it can be done. It definitely can be done. So you want to hang out with people that have their financial act together. Ask them how they did it. Get some good information. But just do this. Be intentional. Monitor your progress every month, because it's really easy to just kind of say, oh yeah, well, like anything else, like how many people join the gym in January, and then by February
March,
it's all over. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, so every day you want to look at that goal,
right.
And if it's a picture of the kitchen, put it on your fridge so you're looking at it every day.
Right.
It's right in front of you, and you can see it. And then every month you're going to say, well, how much closer am I to that goal? Just do it. Just do it.
And also, I guess when you do that, you can also tweak a little bit more if there's something that can be tweaked.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good idea.
And one other thing too, like when you get your tax return or you come into some found money that you didn't expect, think about what you're going to do with it instead of just going, whee,
should we pay a bill off, or should we save it?
Depends. That's an excellent question, because it really depends. I mean, I'd like you to have 3 to 6 months worth of emergency, especially if somebody's self-employed. Okay. Oh yeah, you know. So that's a goal. Do we have an emergency savings?
Yeah.
And because it's freedom, when the car breaks down and you've got cash to be able to pay it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it depends. It depends on, like, when we go
Where
back,
you
when we
are.
were back at the balance sheet, if you had a lot of debt and not a lot of assets, then if it's going to make you feel better to get rid of one of those charge cards with that money, then do that.
Yeah.
But I would still try and do both. Like leave yourself something and pay off that debt.
Okay.
Kind of like a little over here for me to save, and it's hard, especially for people that are really dealing with a lot of debt, and you've got creditors,
Yeah.
Like clamoring for money. It's tough, but you've got to really consider taking on an extra job. Like if your income isn't enough to get you over the line and you're looking at this and you go, oh, that's great, Lori, but I don't have any fat. I'm like bringing my lunch, I'm, eating macaroni and cheese. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Then you have to look at, do I have something I can sell?
Right.
Do I, because you've got, or can I get another job for a part-time, for a few months or something like that?
That's good advice.
So that you can get ahead of it somehow. You got to break out of that.
Yeah.
And then once you've gotten past that and you've got something to work with, you'd be surprised at how fast the rest of it happens, especially when you're really getting happy about seeing progress.
Yeah.
Then you just want more and more, and those old spending habits are behind you, and you're in a healthy year and a healthy decade.
Yeah, that's great, Lori. Oh man, you gave us a lot in such a little nugget of time. You are so awesome. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Nina, for
This was
having me.
really a lot of great information, honestly, and I'm taking a lot of it for myself. I wanted to make sure that people know that if they are interested in your budget worksheet, or what is that called?
It's a retirement calculator.
Oh, retirement calculator, that they can contact me and then I'll ask you for it. And I
Definitely.
thank you for offering that. That's really
Oh,
great.
my pleasure.
So thank you, Lori, for being here
Thanks,
with
Nina.
me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, go on YouTube, go to Straight Talk, No Sugar Added, and make sure that you become a subscriber. It is so nice of you to be here with us today. I want to thank Lori, and I want to thank you for watching. Until next time.